Upon the examination of the galaxies of space, images begin to appear, images of strange and powerful forces. But of all the forces in the universe, the two most powerful, Hulk Hogan and the Ultimate Warrior, prepare to explode. Champion versus champion, title for title. It's the ultimate challenge. It's WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
This is a special edition of the Daily Wrestling News Show. It's a WrestleMania special. WrestleMania 6, obviously, is what we're talking about. My name is Ryan.
Can I give it a try real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
The Ultimate Challenge!
That's great. My name is Ryan Joy. That is Al Karl. WrestleMania 6 is the topic of discussion today. Obviously, we set it up nicely using the Vince McMahon intro to the show. Lots of fun. Again, we are the Daily Wrestling News Show. We are powered by the Eastern Observer. And as such, I need to get all my ducks in a row here. I think we should be good to go. WrestleMania special, Al, you know, the routine is we do trivia up front. I guess I'm going to ask you right off the bat, why this WrestleMania? I know we've kind of already done your favorite and your second favorite.
Yeah.
But this is a top for probably both of us. So what about this one do you like so much?
Yeah, well, this was my first. This was my first live WWF pay-per-view. Well, as watching live, I was 10 years old. It shouldn't have been. I told the story, I believe, when I've had Warrior and Hogan as my top three. Or maybe it was at the Rumble. Actually, no, it was at the Rumble special. The Royal Rumble prior to this, the 1990 Royal Rumble, was supposed to be my first, but I got grounded because my grades were bad. So that was supposed to be. I missed the Royal Rumble. I was grounded. I was in my room crying. But I got to see this live, and I was a Warrior guy. Warrior was what hooked me on professional wrestling. And it started when I was, at the local shop, right, that my mother and I, that she shopped at, because I was so young, I had to go with her. There was a small video rental thing where you could rent VHSs, and then bring back your next visit. And they had two wrestling things. They had two wrestling VHSs you could choose from. And it was SummerSlam 88 and it was WrestleMania 5. And that was it. So I got SummerSlam 88 first, and this maniac came out and completely dropped the Honky Tonk Man in about a minute to win the Intercontinental Championship. And I was hooked ever since then. And it was all about the Warrior. It was never. I mean, I always liked Hogan, but always, Hogan wasn't fun. Hogan always won. Warrior was at least, when I watched WrestleMania 5, Warrior lost. So it was kind of like, Warrior was a little bit more human than me. But it was a fun show, and it was my first WrestleMania live. It was April Fool's Day, which was fun. I was with my buddy. His mother was playing a joke on us, or trying to all day, that there was a Blue Jays game the night before, and the Sky Dome caught on fire, so WrestleMania was canceled. So she was trying to pull that one over on us as an April Fool's Day joke, because she knew how excited me and my friend John were. Not the two Johns on screen. There was a third John in my life way back when who I watched wrestling with. And we had our local guy, Tito Santana, was in action. Tito lived literally, I'm going to say, right down the street, within 2 minutes of my house. So we were rooting hard for Tito and the Warrior. And this is my childhood. This was, and I watched it just like with you with the Survivor Series 1990. This VHS got worn out, man. I watched this over and over and over again as a kid. As I said, I was 10 years old at the time. And it's just nothing but fond memories for me. This was the scene at the Sky Dome. I was mesmerized by it. They had the rolling ring carts that they had at WrestleMania 3. It was just absolutely, it was fantastic.
It is a great show, and we're going to get into it step by step, match by match, interview by interview. There are some gems on this show.
Yes.
But we have to start with trivia.
Yes.
So let's get our trivia going. Okay, so Brutus the Barber Beefcake wrestled Mr. Perfect on this show.
Yes.
And almost all of the trivia comes from things Jesse Ventura said during that match. So
During that match? Oh no. Okay.
So there's one I'm going to tack on at the end. I think this is the hardest trivia I've ever done, but we'll see.
Okay.
So you're going to get 5 questions. A simple majority correct gets you the W. If you win, you get the Goldberg Asuka, and if you lose, you get a Hawkins. So
yeah, this is going to be fun because I did not rewatch this in preparation. We planned for this like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
and this was a spur of the moment thing. Like I said, I've watched this a million times, but quoting Jesse Ventura in that match might be this should be interesting. I like this. Good job, Brian.
Okay, so who was named sexiest man in the world? Jesse the Body said that man had his hairstyle. Your choices are Sean Connery, John Travolta, Patrick Swayze, or Gary Mahaffey.
Could be Gary.
Could be Gary.
Yeah, I think it was probably Swayze.
Sean Connery. Okay. 0 for 1. Ooh, rough start. Okay, Jesse asks Gorilla if he's going to say hi to this trio from Minneapolis.
Oh, yeah.
Ventura says that Gorilla says hi to them at every WrestleMania, but Gorilla reminds Jesse that it is in fact Jesse who says hello to this trio. Do you know it, or do I need to give you choices? You want the choices?
Something, Tyrell, and something. Give me the choices. I'll know it when I hear it.
The choices are Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Marco Stunt.
Possible.
Terry, Tyrell, and Jade.
That's
Terry, Tommy, and Jade. Or Tommy, Jade, and Tori.
Yeah, Terry, Tyrell, and Jade. Yep.
Terry, Tyrell, and Jade. Yes. Okay.
Every year. That was a staple. You see, he said, but I don't think Jade was there in the first. I think it was like WrestleMania, like 3 or 4. It was just Terry and Tyrell. I remember that. Jade didn't come on. I think maybe she was just born.
Yep. So what does Jesse say about the wrestling fans when they boo Mr. Perfect? Your choices are they don't have any taste, they're just jealous, Perfect doesn't care what they think, and these people should be put in jail.
When you said it, I can almost hear him saying, "Oh, they're just jealous, Monsoon." So I'll go with that one.
That's right.
Yeah.
So 2 for 3. What grade does Jesse say Gorilla Monsoon stopped going to school? The Body reminds us that it was pretty good in Gorilla's day. 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, or 9th grade?
Sure. Let's go 8th grade. Let's try that.
9th grade.
9th grade.
2 for 4. Now, this is a tricky one, this last one. We're going to go outside the Perfect and Beefcake match. The Hart Foundation made quick work of the Bolsheviks. Spell Bolsheviks.
Bolsheviks.
Did you look at your notes for that? All right, you're good. You get that one. So, all right, let's get into WrestleMania 6 proper.
Yeah, it's phonetic, though. That's the one thing about other languages. It's not like English. Most languages are phonetic, so we'll do that.
Well, you got that one right. That's pretty good for just random things Jesse Ventura says during a show.
Yeah.
So. WrestleMania 6, of course, it opened with that monologue that I said in the before the cold open here. It was classic, so it bared repeating here on the show. So that was Vince McMahon who opened the show with that, and then we wouldn't see him or hear from him again the whole show, except for in the recap videos. But as you mentioned, April 1st, 1990, the first international WrestleMania coming from the Sky Dome in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. WWE announced a new indoor attendance record for Sky Dome, 67,678, a record that stood until WrestleMania 18 when they broke it. So we have the commentary team of Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon. It was Jesse Ventura's final pay-per-view as a commentator. So
wait, wasn't WrestleMania 3 93,000? So that was it wasn't okay. So 67 wasn't that wasn't caught up till.
So this is the Sky Dome attendance record.
Oh, Sky Dome. I'm sorry, I thought about WrestleMania. I'm like, wait a minute, they had 93 at yeah.
Yeah. So Robert Goulet sang the national anthem, and Bruce Pritchard told a nice story about Robert Goulet. The Canadian. So he sang the Canadian national anthem. He had previously sung the Star Spangled Banner at a baseball game, and he botched it. And so he wasn't singing after that until this show. They got him to perform here. So they put the words up on their screen so that in case he missed something, he would have it. But he did not need them. Bruce was happy to report that he fell right into it.
Almost positive he's Canadian anyway, and I think that's the order of things Canadian. You have to learn how to ice skate first. You learn "Oh Canada" second, and then you start walking.
Okay.
So everyone. And the funny thing is, this is because I watched this so many times. I actually learned at a very young age. I know the words to "Oh Canada," so it is because of Robert Goulet. I don't know if you ever saw those SNL skits with Will Ferrell. Goulet was that's fun. Good. Robert Goulet, awesome. That was a great way to kick it off.
You already mentioned the little rings that they rode down to the ring down to the ring. There were little carts, similar to what they had in WrestleMania 3. But from a presentation point of view, in the Skydome had just opened. But back then they didn't have the big ramp and the big stage and everything. So when you did the big wide sweeping shots, you saw just people everywhere. Yeah. So to me, looking back, it's like a more impressive look actually than today when you only see like half an arena. But the stage is awesome, so you have to go with that. So
yeah, but if you mention that though, then you say WrestleMania 18 somehow jammed more people in the same building. They had the huge screen, Yep. So it's interesting how that mathematically works out, like physically.
I think Canadians got skinnier.
That might be it too. Yeah, they left their hockey equipment home. Yeah,
I'm sure they renovated the stadium probably in between, and I'm sure
I would think so. Yeah, it was what 12 years, 14 years, 12 years.
Yeah. So Jesse opens the show, says, "I've been to the Super Bowl, I've been to the World Series, I've even been to the Rolling Stone, but nothing's bigger than WrestleMania." So it's fun, Jesse's final pay-per-view, he's selling it all the way.
Yep.
Good for him. All right, show proper. Coco Beware with Frankie versus Rick Martel. It's fun to hear that Coco Beware music to start.
Bird, to the bird. Yeah.
And wisely, they put Rick Martel, a Canadian from Montreal, not too far away. He wins the match submission with the Canadian Crab. What's your?
He's from Cocoa Beach, Florida, Rye.
Okay, I apologize. The model Rick Martel is from Cocoa Beach, Florida.
Yes.
But I think Rick Martel is not.
No, he's.
But yeah, so that was their opening contest. Not much to speak of there. Coco can work, but.
Fun match. Martel went after the head, which you can't do on Coco. That's always the fun when Coco has the strongest head in the entire freaking world. Martel. He's a year removed from walking out on Tito.
Yeah.
Starting this model, team, and I don't think he had the arrogance yet at that point, but he had the sweater going around his neck, if I remember correctly, and those is mint blue a color? It was like almost like a minty blue, like a
He had plenty of arrogance, just not the scent.
Yeah, so he had the model, the new model. So he was on his way. This was just kind of part one of the way. I think originally he was managed by Slick, I think, right at the separation, but he ventured away from Slick very quickly.
Yeah.
After the Survivor Series was later on, but those were just Slick guys with him. But so this was just baby model. Before I wouldn't say Martel would have been a great Intercontinental Champion. Almost to the level of what Mr. Perfect was. I think if you would have flip-flopped those, I think Perfect would have been better, but only by like a little bit.
Yeah.
So good choice on that. But Martel would have been a great, heel Intercontinental Champion, especially with some of the feuds that he had going forward, with Jake and Tatanka and all that. So
one of the key feuds, or not feuds, the storylines or whatever coming out of news items coming out of WrestleMania 6 was Andre the Giant's status. Yeah. And the next thing we see is an interview with the Colossal Connection. Gene Okerlund, of course, says the colostomy connection. But Andre and Haku, they don't sell it. Bobby does. What's memorable for me after that is Andre saying, "We will eliminate them."
Yep.
So
cool.
Then we get
what did you just call us? The Colossal Connection. What do you think I said? Never mind. And it's all coming back to me now. So they Yeah, this was Andre's last match, if I do remember correctly. And if the one thing I said, I believe you did some kind of trivia with someone. I don't know, it was me. You brought it up. I remember I commented. Andre was never tagged in this match. Haku did everything.
Yep.
Andre got in only to do the thing where he gets the thing that he loved to do. He get tied in the turnbuckles because it doesn't hurt his arms and he's literally sitting down. So it's just it's easy for Andre to do it. But that he never legally got in that match. That match was a 2-on-1, and before the Chicago Bulls made it cool, Demolition threw up a 3-peat.
They did.
And I believe that was the first time. I could be wrong on that, but is that the first time any tag team champions has won 3 times?
Ooh, that I don't know.
It's gonna be a tough question. I don't want to, don't quote me on that one, but I don't recall anyone before them doing it. So.
Oh no, they were the first to do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Prior to the match, Axe says he's going to chop down the giant redwood. Smash says he's going to drive them off a cliff and watch them smash into smithereens. Yeah. And then Axe finishes the promo by saying the only thing that's going to be left from the wreckage is the metal that they're going to use to forge their new tag team championships, which they did. They used the Demolition Destroyer to pin Haku. It was after Haku missed, I think it was Axe. Axe moved out of the way. Haku hit the giant with his crescent kick, which then led to the Demolition Destroyer. So,
who are you to give that move a name? That move doesn't have a name. Somebody put it on Facebook the other day too. The Demolition Decapitator. That's not its name. It never had a name.
Okay, well, it's the Demolition Destroyer on this show.
No, it's not. It's nothing. It's what a maneuver. That's what it should be called.
Fair enough. So after the match, Bobby the Brain screams at Andre, gets in his face, points his finger, slaps the giant.
Yeah, don't do that.
You don't do that. Andre paintbrushes Bobby. He blocks a kick from Haku. Famously, Andre missed the first slap to Bobby, and Bobby didn't sell it, so he got another one.
Yeah.
And Andre rides back all by himself as a babyface. And interestingly, later in the evening, Mean Gene has an interview with Bobby. And Gene says, "You're tougher to get along with than a mother-in-law on a weekend trip to my house." To which Bobby says, "You listen to me, you go to the top. You don't listen to me, you're never heard from again." And the irony is that is Andre's last match.
Yeah.
We do see him again, of course, but it was his last match. So, Bobby's words kind of rang true a little bit.
Yep. And he took Andre to the top too. I believe that is the only champion. I believe that was the only champion Bobby ever had. Bobby ever managed. I don't think
a world champion.
Basically, Hulk Hogan. If you want to put Jimmy Hart, that was his only champion. But the heel Jimmy Hart never had a champion. Slick never had a championship. Period. Fuji had a ton, so maybe you can put Fuji as. But Bobby got to the top with Andre, albeit for only 5 minutes.
Yeah, Fuji had Demolition as the tag champs. Fuji had Yokozuna, so we're good.
As world champion, though, yeah, he had Yokozuna for a long time, a lot longer than when Andre had it.
Right. So moving forward, we have the Mighty Hercules versus Earthquake. But before we get to that, Earthquake has a promo, and with Jimmy Hart, and Jimmy says, "Every scientist in the world has their eyes glued to the seismograph. They're predicting an earthquake, baby." And then Earthquake gives his promo, doing exactly what Al's doing now, with bouncing back and forth. "You're supposed to be mighty, but at the hands of the earthquake, even the strongest buildings can crumble into devastation. Once you begin to feel the tremors, you'll begin to tremble in fear." So, John Tenson.
Earthquake was a good promo. I always liked it. Earthquake had a lot. Earthquake had some cool stuff to say.
Yes, he did.
I liked Earthquake.
There was only a 4-minute 50-second match. Earthquake got a splash for the win, plus an aftershock afterwards to seal the deal. So, Earthquake walks away this WrestleMania with a win.
Yeah, and that's actually, there's a very short list. It's going over. I sent you my spreadsheets, right? Because we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff with statistics as far as WrestleMania goes. The 4-match win streak in WrestleMania history is something very few wrestlers have done, and only 3 wrestlers have gotten more than 4. But Earthquake is on that list. He won his first 4 WrestleMania matches. This was the first one. He won at 7 and 8 and 10, and then unfortunately, the streak would have been alive. I mean, well, he's not. Unfortunately, Earthquake is no longer with us, but he would remain undefeated. But the only loss that's on his record was that gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17. Unfortunately, but he did chalk. He didn't beat Earthquake at WrestleMania. He was 4-0. Other than that, other than the battle royal,
by win percentage, he's better than the Undertaker.
Yeah, sure. 80%. I think Undertaker's more than 80%.
Well, if you take out the Battle Royal. It's hard to take
the
Battle Royal. But Rona Barrett, she has an interview with Miss Elizabeth afterwards. Elizabeth says if she returns, she'll become more active. And that's basically the essence of the interview. And then we have this Brutus Beefcake situation that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Beefcake's plans to sever the perfect record of Mr. Perfect at a pretty good clip. And he does.
Yeah.
Beefcake used a slingshot and sent Perfect over the top rope. Perfect hit the turnbuckle post, and Beefcake got the win. In storyline, this was the first pin over Mr. Perfect.
Yep. Yeah, the Perfect record, it was no more. He lost a couple tag matches. He lost the Royal Rumble, even though he placed second that year. And I believe he was in the 89 Rumble too. But yeah, in a one-on-one, he was perfect. And then, as I said, that slingshot into the ring post, which sold perfectly, just like everything Mr. Perfect did, as far as, especially those turnbuckles. He flew out of those turnbuckles when he put his head into it.
Yep.
But the ring post, it got him. At that point in time, in 1990, that was the first time I've ever seen anyone hit the ring post, and the last for a while. I don't remember when they started making that a regular thing, but that was the move. And then it's time for those Goldilocks to come out, right? After a match.
Yeah. I don't think that happened though.
No, you got the Genius again instead.
We move to Roddy Piper promo. Now, this Roddy Piper promo is a bit infamous, and it doesn't hold up well. It didn't really hold well at the time, but here's the situation. Piper has half of his face painted black. And the idea is that the white side is Hot Rod, and the black side is Hot Scott. And it doesn't exactly age well, but I suppose the intent was something along the lines of the fact that the Scots would wear paint into battle. That's maybe the Hot Scott versus the Hot Rod. There's also some stuff that Piper has said about Cyndi Lauper and Nelson Mandela and, trying true colors and all this stuff. I don't get that at all, but there was something else to it, I guess.
Yeah, you know what? When we did, I don't know if this is going to air before or after our thing with WrestleMania 19. It just seems like, when you brought it up with the Triple H Booker T feud, and I had someone to defend it because I feel like the World Championship shouldn't have been on somebody, the storyline wise with Hunter, the championship, when he was saying you people, it was, poor people from the ghetto. It had nothing to do with Booker T's skin color. So you can get around that at WrestleMania 19. I just can't.
Yeah, you can't.
I'm not going near this one. I can't defend Piper. I don't know what he was thinking. I can't imagine him intentionally trying to be racist.
So here's the interesting.
I have no idea.
There's stories that go with this now. Apparently, Andre the Giant did something with the special solution that was required to take the paint off, because this was a special paint that wouldn't come off when Piper sweated. Okay. So he had the special solution. Andre dumped it out and put water in there. So Piper has no way of getting this paint off, and it took him like a month or more to get it off, and the only way he could do it was just sitting in the sauna and scrubbing. He had to walk through the airport holding a 4-foot Mickey Mouse for his kid. This legend goes. So with this half painted black. So if there was ill intent, Piper paid for it.
Yeah, I don't think it was. That's not who Piper was. That wasn't who not the character, but that wasn't who the real right. He was just trying to do maybe something creative. I don't know. I'm not trying to defend it. It wasn't, obviously blackface is just completely wrong in every sense of the word. And I'm sure, I don't know how, I didn't hear how bad news took. I don't want to go anywhere near this, to tell you the truth. I can't, I don't.
So let's go to the match. So you've got Piper and bad news. Further interesting things with Piper brings out a white glove as well. So some Michael Jackson reference in that.
Yeah, it's a reverse Michael Jackson. Right? No, Michael Jackson had the white glove. Yeah.
So Danny Davis is having a hard time with these two guys. Eventually, they spill to the outside. Davis counts them out. They fight all the way to the backstage, and that's pretty much your match. So,
Yeah. Again, Bad News Brown. There's just no decisions in a Bad News Brown pay-per-view match. He'll sneak a jobber with a ghetto blaster, but anytime he's on a pay-per-view, he's either getting counted out, or it's a double count out, or it's a disqualification, or
he won the Battle Royal at 4. So
what's that?
He won the Battle Royal at 4.
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, okay, but that's it. Okay.
All right, so Steve Allen, who was kind of like he's a late night host or whatever. He is in the back with Nikolai Volkov, Boris Zukov. They are going to rehearse the Russian national anthem. So they're on location in the bathroom, which is funny because the Sky Dome is a brand new building. You'd think they would have some place other than a bathroom to put a piano. I guess not. So
not if you're Steve Allen. No, that's perfect if you're Steve Allen.
So Allen sings "I Get No Kick from Ukraine" and some other false starts, and eventually he's finally warmed up. He's ready to play the first note in the Russian national anthem, and somebody flushes the toilet. So
hey, then Nikolai timed it perfectly with the hay just to stop him. That was good. Yeah, it was fun. That was a fun segment.
It was fun. So that led to our match, the Hart Foundation versus the Bolsheviks, and we all got up and stood for the Russian national anthem as Nikolai sang, and but Neidhart went bananas, and he attacked partway through. That basically started the match. Heart attack on Boris Zukov for the win, 18 seconds.
Yeah, they didn't even get their jackets off.
Nope, it was quick. WrestleMania announced.
I'm sorry, with that, even before the match, they were saying the Hart Foundation were challenging the tag team champions, whoever it was, Demolition or the Colossal Connection. So that was that was a nice little fun. Looking at what happens later. Hindsight's 2020, but looking at the timeline, that was actually they set it up. They set it up there. That was good.
Yes, they did. Yeah, and they made reference to that several times that the Harts were, in line for those title shots. Even when the Rockers wrestled later, all that stuff was brought up. They announced WrestleMania 7 that was going to take place at the LA Memorial Sports Coliseum. That didn't happen. That's a whole nother story. They are advertised on this show that there'd be 100,000 people. That didn't happen. That's a whole other story. We'll push that down the road.
Yeah. Let Pritchard talk about that when he was there.
Yeah. The Barbarian versus Tito Santana. 4 minutes, 30 seconds. So Tito hits the forearm.
Yeah.
But Bobby's on the outside, and he puts the Barbarian's foot on the ropes. So the Barbarian survives that. Barbarian hits the clothesline from the top rope. Tito sells that thing so well. Yep. I mean, this is the greatest sell job on that move that I've ever seen. Not to mention, Barbarian looked great doing that move. So
yeah. Tito knew how to take a beating. The fun thing about this match, like I said, other than this was a part of the opposite streak, the Tito streak, which is 7 consecutive losses, which is still active technically if you wanted to come back. It's in jeopardy right now. 2 guys in Shelton Benjamin and R-Truth at 6, which are active. They're active wrestlers. So if they lose again, they're going to tie Tito. But the fun thing I always recall about this match now, the Barbarian, like the powers of pain just split. And Mr. Fuji sold the powers of pain. He sold the Barbarian to Bobby Heenan, and he sold the Warlord to Slick so that Fuji could concentrate on the Orient Express. So that was a fun little. You didn't really see too many like trading and sell job, whatever, amongst managers. I remember they tried to sell Hercules. That didn't go over well to the $1 Million Man. But this happened really right before WrestleMania 6 because the Barbarian was still in his powers of pain get up, and not the Barbarian with the that looked like Thundar or Conan or whatever you want to.
Yeah, and then Jesse even said during the match when Bobby put the Barbarian's foot on the ropes that he was protecting his investment. So they made reference to that contract being sold there. We moved to Dusty Rhodes and Sapphire. Dusty says they're missing what we got. The crown jewel, baby. And so Dusty and Sapphire, they go to the ring. Of course, they're having a match with the Macho King Randy Savage and Sensational Queen Sherry. And Dusty gets to the ring. He gets on the mic and he introduces the crown jewel. It's the first lady of the World Wrestling Federation. It's Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah.
So
that was fun. That was a nice little surprise too. You know, it's
earlier in the show.
They hadn't seen her since the prior WrestleMania. She wasn't there past the Megas of Powers explosion. I don't think she was on past WrestleMania.
I don't think so. You know, she foreshadowed earlier that she was going to be more involved, and she was. She grabbed Sherry's hair through the ropes, and when she released, Sherry fell back. Sapphire with the schoolgirl pinfall victory.
Yep.
Liz, Dusty, and Sapphire got funky, doing the Dusty dance, I guess. We go to Jesse Ventura and Gorilla Monsoon with Rona Barrett. So this is some like light humor for adults if they're paying attention here.
Yeah. I just caught this just now because I was looking for the Warrior interview because I wanted to definitely watch that before this. But yeah, I caught this too. This is Jesse.
So she says she has a scoop on some X-rated material, and she kind of just eyes up Jesse Ventura, and they go away to something else, and they come back, and Monsoon and Ventura are standing there, and Monsoon says, "I saw the footage." And he looks down at Jesse's pants and says, "There wasn't anything to see." Which is hysterical. And, of course, I didn't get it until I watched it just now. But
Yeah.
Okay, so. Okay, Mean Gene with Bobby Heenan. We did the mother-in-law thing. Macho King, he's back on stage with Sean Mooney. He says, "Suffering builds character. The crown jewel doesn't exist." So he is not done with that situation. And then Gene is with Demolition. They say they beat the odds, but here comes the Hart Foundation, as you mentioned.
Yep, and that's where they go into SummerSlam. And that was probably a lot of people still hold that match as probably one of the greatest tag team matches in WWF history, and plus one of the greatest matches in SummerSlam history. That's something that we watch every year, you know.
I have now 2 promos. One's Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And one's the Ultimate Warrior. I've got them written down verbatim. We're going to go through them. There's stuff to break down here. Hulk Hogan asks, "Do you want to live forever?" And if your answer is yes, Ultimate Warrior, then breathe your last breath into my body. I can save you. My Hulkamaniacs can save you. We can turn the darkness that you live in into light. We can save all your little warriors with the training, the prayers, and the vitamins. But I got to prove one thing to all my Hulkamaniacs out there. It's not whether you win or lose. The only thing that matters is what kind of winner you are or what kind of loser you are. And the Ultimate Warrior, I sure hope you're a good loser, brother. What you going to do in Skydome when the largest arms in the world and Hulkamania run wild on you? Interesting foreshadowing here. Again.
Yeah. Yep.
Now let me go to Warrior, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about them both together. Warrior says he's with Sean Mooney, and he says to Sean Mooney, he starts by cutting a promo on poor Sean, "You're nothing but a normal. You don't deserve to breathe the same air that Hulk Hogan and I do." So Sean's gone. Hulk Hogan, I must ask you now, as you asked me, do you, Hulk Hogan, want your ideas, your beliefs to live forever? For Hulk Hogan, in this mortal world physically, none of us can live forever, but the places you have taken the Hulkamaniacs, the ideas and beliefs you have given them can live through me, Hulk Hogan. That is why I breathe. That is why the Warriors have come, Hulk Hogan. There are ones that question where you are taking them. Do you no longer want to walk or step into the darkness, Hulk Hogan? The darkness I speak of is nothing to fear. It is about the beliefs and accepting and all the challenges at the cost of losing everything, Hulk Hogan. You have lived, Hulk Hogan, for the last 5 WrestleManias for this one belief. Now, Hulk Hogan, I come to take what you believe in further than you ever could. I come, Hulk Hogan, not to destroy the Hulkamaniacs and Hulkamania. I come, Hulk Hogan, to bring the Warriors and the Hulkamaniacs together as one. As we, Hulk Hogan, accept all challenges with all the strengths of the Warriors and the Hulkamaniacs together, Hulk Hogan, the colors of the Hulkamaniacs are coming through the pores of my skin. When we meet, Hulk Hogan, I will look at you, and you will realize then that I have come to do no one no harm, but only, Hulk Hogan, to take what we both believe into places it shall never have been.
Little upset that Warrior didn't snort in that promo, but whatever.
So here's what I'm getting out of this. Okay, so Hulk Hogan clearly says it's not whether you win or lose, it's whether you're a good loser. And he hopes Ultimate Warrior is a good loser. He's really saying, okay, I'm going to be a good loser.
Yeah. But let's look at Hulk Hogan before this. Now, has Hulk Hogan ever been a good loser?
Not typically.
No. Like, what? How did it? I loved WrestleMania 4 as much as the next guy, but come on. Hogan was pissed he lost, and he hit Dibiase with the chair. So
sure.
And Ventura called him out. This is why Ventura hates Hulk Hogan as much as he hates Hulk Hogan. He's the characters. It's just Hogan is when he got eliminated for the '89 Royal Rumble, right? He got eliminated the '92. He got eliminated,
yes.
Got his panties in a bunch, and pulled Sid Justice out. It's just Hulk Hogan. You should be saying this to yourself, dude.
Well, let's hold for a moment.
Yeah, right.
He's mentally preparing himself for a loss, I think.
Yeah.
Now, the Warrior on the other side. The Warrior is giving a speech that politicians give after they win an election, basically saying all the Hulkamaniacs and the Warriors, we can live together, and I will take us further. But we have more in common than we have different type of promo. He uses a lot of weird words to say it, but that's kind of what he's saying. And God, he must have said Hulk Hogan 27 times in that match.
Oh yeah, Hulk Hogan. Yeah, and it was even not even that promo. See, the one I thought it was the rocket fuel one. And if you ever have, or if you bought the DVD, the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, there's an extra on that. They showed it a little bit in the clip, but there's an extra on Christian doing the Ultimate Warrior's rocket fuel promo before WrestleMania 6, and it's to a T. It is absolutely amazing. But seriously, and to quote Chris Jericho in that same documentary, I have no idea what the Warrior just said, but it sounded cool, so yay.
Yes. Well, that's the whole thing with the Warrior promos. You almost have to slow them down and write them down and reread them, and then you might understand them. They are an interesting piece of literary literature to look at.
Yeah, so. The one thing I did notice during the Warriors promo when I watched is that I'm not trying to kill Hulkamania. Like, who actually fights Hulk Hogan not trying to end this thing? It's funny how they both kept the good guy. They're not trying to hurt each other, just trying to prove who's better and then bring the other guy's fans over to him.
It's challenging, right? Because they have not at this point had a babyface versus babyface huge match like this.
No.
So the only thing, the heelish thing was the Sean Mooney, poor guy, doesn't deserve to breathe the same breath that Hulk Hogan and I do. But
well, that's it.
It's forgivable by the time you get to the end of the speech.
Yeah. Maybe
if Sean Mooney said his prayers and ate his vitamins or something.
Yeah, or just drank rocket fuel.
Right. So Orient Express versus the Rockers is where we go next. 7 minutes, 39 seconds. Jannetty went after Fuji's cane on the outside. He got salt in the eyes. Jannetty got counted out. Fuji, yep. And let's just keep on rolling. Steve Allen's with Rhythm and Blues in the back. Honky reminds Allen of Elvis Costello. Valentine says they're on the way to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and Steve says, good, I'm going to call to warn them.
Yeah.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan, my hometown guy, Glens Falls, New York.
There you go.
Versus Dino Bravo. 4 minutes, 14 seconds. Bravo, another Canadian. Yeah. Earthquake grabbed Duggan by the ankle while the ref was dealing with Quake and Duggan's situation. Jimmy Hart tossed the 2x4 into the ring. Duggan grabbed it. He used it on Bravo, got the pin, but Earthquake got the revenge. 3 Earthquake splashes.
Wow. Yeah, Duggan's.
And then after that, we move into Jake Roberts, a promo that you can hear everywhere. He says to Dibiase, you're a victim of your own greed, wallowing in the muck of avarice. So that's a famous Jake Roberts promo.
Yeah, like I said, me at 10 years old. Again, like, what is that?
Yeah, I still had to look it up even now.
Yeah.
We go Ted DiBiase versus Jake Roberts with Virgil. 11 minutes, 55 seconds. DiBiase and Roberts were both on the outside. Roberts drove them both into the post. So second post shot of the show, by the way.
Mhm.
Virgil would toss Dibiase back in the ring. The ref counted Jake out. So kind of a sad ending there. Dibiase gets the win, but Jake comes back in the ring, hits Dibiase with the DDT. Virgil runs away with the $1 million belt. Jake gives Ted's money away, stuffs some in DiBiase's mouth, but Virgil saves DiBiase before Damien gets out.
Yeah, this was, like I said, if you look at this time, like, if you look at the 14 matches here, right? We said there was 14. There was 4, there was the mega feud between Hogan, and then there was the 3 like upper echelon feuds here, and this was one of them. We had this one, you had Perfect and Beefcake, and you had Savage and Dusty. So this was a big match. And they said Jake stole the $1 million championship and put it in with Damien, so nobody was even going near that. So that was, Jake's always been known for his brains here. So it was just the way Ted DiBiase needed to get that belt back. Jake didn't have to take the loss on a huge pay-per-view or take a pinfall or anything. The count out, it was the cheap way out, but you had those at WrestleManias back then. Every WrestleMania up until that point had, even after that too, at WrestleMania 7, I think Mr. Perfect got counted out in the Intercontinental Championship match. So it's like, these things happened back then because you didn't have the huge shows to set this up. Everything was on, Jake versus the Jobber with a DiBiase promo, or the DiBiase versus Jobber. There was no Jake versus Virgil to set this up on Raw the night before, so they could get away with these countouts.
Right.
And DQs, but this was a huge feud. This was a big deal. They got at the Rumble State. It was one of the big 4 feuds that was going on back there, and it was a lot of fun. It was a great pairing, and DiBiase got his belt back, which was the main point.
Absolutely. Yeah. And okay, so we move from here to backstage again. We have another interview. This time it's the Slickster and Akeem, and this is a gem as well. So Slick is happy because Ted DiBiase got his belt back, and now he's giving them 1,000 reasons in advance to take out the big boss man.
Yep.
And Akeem says there are 2 things in this world that don't last very long: dogs that chase cars and law enforcement officers that won't take the money. Boss man answers with a promo, says he's proud to wear the badge, proud to be an American. He doesn't take money from anyone.
Yeah, this was the beginning. Yeah, this was the beginning of Baby Boss Man. The Twin Towers exploded.
Yep.
I'm sorry, too soon. The Twin Towers, they forgot about that. I'm sorry. The tag team was called the Twin Towers, and they're not getting along. The Mega's powers explode from the. That's where I took that from. I apologize if that offended anybody. That was an accident. But they former tag team partner. Yeah, I guess Ted DiBiase needed the Twin Towers for something. And Boss Man didn't want to get bought. All of a sudden, the big Boss Man, he was too proud to take the money from Ted DiBiase. So now they're going to go at it, and it didn't last long.
No. And so Akeem versus the Boss Man is the next match. Ted DiBiase didn't leave ringside. He was hiding under the ring or whatever.
Yep.
He attacks Boss Man on the outside before the match. Eventually, Boss Man gets in the ring. I don't ever even hear the bell ring to begin with. We go right into the match, but eventually Boss Man slammed for the win, and Big Boss Man walks away from WrestleMania winner.
Is there any doubt in anybody's mind that Jive Soul Bro was the best music back then?
I don't think so, right? I mean,
I still listen to it to this day. It's on my iShuffle thing. Okay, I'm lying.
All right, so we have 2 more things to go before we get to the main event here. Rhythm and Blues. Dallas Page is driving his pink Cadillac to the ring with Honky Tonk Man and Greg the Hammer Valentine. They perform Hunka Love or Burden Love or something.
What?
I can't remember.
Oh, yeah, that was a new single. It was their new single.
It's a brand new single. The one before that had gone gold. That's why they were holding it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Honky Tonk Man's theme music. Yeah, his theme.
Yep. But the Bushwhackers were selling merchandise just outside the ring, and Honky said, we're only selling rhythm and blues stuff here. So anyway, turns into a little debacle, and the Bushwhackers smash the guitars.
Yeah. Neither of them had matches. Neither of them had a match, and that was just a fun way to get them on TV. This was in place of a match. I'm sure, if they didn't have a story with rhythm and blues, they probably would have had a match that the Bushwhackers probably should have won if they walked out of here. So that was
Final match, the semi-main, Ravishing Rick Rude versus Jimmy Superfly Snuka. 3 minutes, 49 seconds. Rude gets a rude awakening. Steve Allen's on commentary, commenting about how Superfly Jimmy Snuka is wearing his wife's underwear.
There it is.
Like a bunch of stuff. So.
That's the only thing that's relevant about this match. Other than that, it's a rude awakening and done. I like Jimmy Snuka because he's wearing my wife's underwear.
All right, I should mention at this point on all the WrestleMania episodes that we've done so far, I always have what Dave Meltzer has said or what Wade Keller has said or whatever. I'm not able to get their archive newsletters, so I don't know. I will say this: I know that the majority of the matches were low star ratings, and I think you can understand why they were all 4-minute matches, countouts, and stuff like that. That's fine. The spectacle.
I'm sorry. I said they had a 3.5-hour match card. Warrior and Hogan's going to get its time, and everything else just got to cram in there. They had 2 squashes, 3 squashes. Matches that were under a minute. And then, like I said, just with this whole thing with Rude and Snuka, just go back to that for a second. Like Rude had nothing going on right now, and he was one of the best guys in the company.
Yep.
And they circled back to him and Warrior after Warrior won it. So that was fun to see. Then Rude cut the hair. And he was just all business, Rick Rude, and it was absolutely great. So Rude really had nothing going on in this. It was to say it was a throwaway match to get him a win, but there was so much more to come with him with the Warrior feud, with the cage at SummerSlam, and then I guess he went on to WCW after that. So
yeah, absolutely. They got everybody on the show just about, right? I mean,
yeah.
Even the opening contest, the dark match was Paul Roma versus the Brooklyn Brawler.
Yeah, the Brawler, right?
Yeah, so you had everybody. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of WrestleMania 6. It is scheduled for one fall, and it is title for title. Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan. Earl Hebner's the referee. They come to the ring. They start shoving each other. Each of them gets a shove, right? Then they go to collar and elbow tie-up. Warrior pushes Hogan into the corner. They come back, do another collar and elbow tie-up.
Yep.
Hogan pushes Warrior to the corner. They go for a test of strength next. So they line up for their Greco-Roman knuckle lock. Warrior puts Hogan down on his knees. Hogan fights back, puts Warrior down. Warrior comes back up. Hogan trips him, drops an elbow. So they come back to their feet. They do the crisscross. Hogan slams Warrior. They do another one. Warrior slams Hogan. So we're like 50-50 all the way through. The first 5 minutes of this match, to sell the point that these are, the 2 biggest guys and they're, going at each other, and it's,
And they picked up right where they left off in the Royal Rumble, where they clotheslined each other. They picked up right where they left off.
Yep. The evenness would end about this point because Hogan would go to the outside and he would start selling his leg and his knee and stuff is hurt. We go back in the ring. They do a bunch of holds, and Hogan even goes for an inside cradle. The inside cradle. That Savage beat Valentine at 4 with an inside cradle. Flair beat Terry Funk in Baltimore in 1989 with an inside cradle. But Hogan did not get a win here against the Warrior. So we get the double clothesline that we talked about. Saw that Rumble. Saw it back here. And when we go to the finish, it goes down like this. The referee is down. Warrior misses a shoulder tackle. Hogan covers, but no ref to make the count. Warrior hits a suplex. Again, no ref. Warrior would hit the Gorilla Press Slam and the splash. 1, 2, Hogan kicks out. Hogan hulks up. The famous sequence. 1 punch, 2 punch.
I was crying.
Punch. Hogan tosses Warrior into the ropes. He hits the big boot, and he goes and he drops the big leg, but Warrior moves. Warrior bounces off the ropes, hits the splash. 1, 2, 3. Ventura shouts, "He got him!" That's the call.
Yeah.
That is the call.
Got him. Unbelievable. I was watching. I said I was 10. And I just saw the Warrior, because Warrior had a Hulk up too. It wasn't called a Hulk up back then. Warrior had his thing where he was impervious to everything, and he used his early. And I remember talking strategy with my friend back then. I'm like, Warrior's got to save his till after Hogan uses his. So I'm trying to think of ways to beat Hulk Hogan because it's never really been done. At least not that I've seen. He was unbeatable.
Right.
And Warrior used his early, and then Hogan started hulking up. It was like, oh no, and then it just, oh my God, he moved! Oh my, and then just me and my buddy we just went absolutely nuts. And it's like I said, that the sequence at the end, and Hogan presented him with the belt, and Warrior hitting both the turnbuckles with both belts. It's just something that is just going to live with me forever as one of my favorite moments. Like that was just my childhood, memory. Like it was absolutely incredible.
So Hogan rolls out of the ring. He grabs the WWF Championship belt. He brings it back in. He presents it to the Warrior, which brings us back to his words. It's not whether you win or lose. The only thing that matters is what kind of winner you are and what kind of loser you are. And I think the Warrior was gracious in victory. Hogan, in this situation, gracious in defeat. And then you go to the Warrior's words, I can't really pick some out, but I guess he comes to bring the Warriors and the Hulkamaniacs together as one. And Ventura's Gorilla says Hogan took one giant step towards immortality. Ventura says, I do believe Hulkamania will live forever. So they're trying to rebound Hogan to build him back up before he's even out of there. The Skydome, full of fireworks, Warrior celebrating in the ring, as you said, with the belts up. And
for Jesse Ventura to say that, and what, I don't know, was that the last thing he ever said as a commentator?
Ooh,
I do believe Hulkamania will live. That's a big turnaround from somebody who has hated Hulk Hogan for the prior 10 years before this, to finally admit. It's almost like, the full circle, is like, I do believe Hulkamania will live forever.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is this is Ventura's last pay-per-view. He did do some other stuff, but after this, but yeah, you're right. That's probably the last commentary line, or one of the last two anyway.
Yeah,
that he made on pay-per-view for WWF. So very interesting.
Yeah, and just funny, just to reference a couple things here. It leads me to believe that that Christian was a huge Warrior fan, considering he can do that rocket fuel promo. Where Edge was the biggest Hulk Hogan fan there was. Apparently, Edge, I want to say maybe Christian too, but Edge was definitely in attendance at the Skydome as a kid.
Bro. Yep.
Yeah, and he referenced this match in his promo at WrestleMania 24 when he was going to fight The Undertaker. I'm sure he talked about that with Travis, but he's like, that day, my innocence was plucked, and now I'm going to do the exact same thing to every kid that's in the audience now when I beat The Undertaker. I'm like, oh my God, way to turn that around. At that point in time, I'm like, all right, go get him, Edge. Kill him. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, Edge didn't win either.
No, Edge didn't win either. Yeah, he's falling right in Hogan's footsteps.
So, Al, the main question is, does this WrestleMania hold up?
I'll be that. No, it doesn't. It's not. It's nothing. This is nothing great, but this is what it was at the time. It was great. Yeah. So it doesn't hold up now. The wrestling is so much different nowadays. Now you have the shows to build up the stories. There were matches here, like just say Rude and Snuka or Martel and Coco. They just threw them together. Tito and the Barbarian. But that's what they had to do. They had to get everybody on the cards. No, it unfortunately doesn't hold up. But that doesn't mean it wasn't great.
I'll be honest, I agree with you. The wrestling doesn't really hold up, but man, Gorilla and Jesse, they are such a good soundtrack to this show. They really built on the drama, especially when you get into the Ultimate Challenge. You could not watch it, and you could put it on and just listen to them talk, and it's great in that way. So, like you said, it doesn't hold up against like today's style of wrestling and stuff like that, and the finishes that you want to see. But you're probably going to have a good time if you go back and watch it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, like I said, I was 10. And that's the thing with people don't nowadays everything's not the Attitude Era, everything's not the Golden Era. Things aren't what they were when you were a kid because your mindset's changed. It's going to be different, but it'll bring you back to when wrestling was real, when he thought the Big Boss Man actually was a corrections officer and he wrestled on the weekends as a side job.
Wait, that's
it's just so much fun in that point of view. Like I said, no, Hogan, it came in. I had it at number 10. my top 30 favorites. Was it great? No. They were in a bear hug for about 5 hours. They were in the Greco-Roman for 5 hours. It dragged. But it when you were watching it as a 10-year-old or as a kid or whatever, it was just so exhilarating. And to have the two baby faces, the two championships, everything was just unprecedented at that time. So, it'll always go down. It was great, but is it now? Is it Ricochet versus AJ Styles? No, not even close.
Yeah. But that's our show. That is WrestleMania 6 for us. Before we get out of here, I do want to tell people, as I do with every show, go watch the Primetime Rundown every Friday night at 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. Join Joey Jarzenka, Ian Schreier, and Rob DeLuca on Friday nights for the Primetime Rundown. They take you through the world of sports. Again, that's 6 p.m. on the Eastern Observer. And then we also have the Essential Wrestling Podcast. It airs every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Al is the host. I'm there along with John DeConnie and John Smith and Gary Mahaffey. They take you through the week of updates and highlights in the world of wrestling. Again, coverage 6 p.m. on Tuesdays on the Eastern Observer. And then this show, the Daily Wrestling News Show, we took a break today to do this WrestleMania special. We had a great time doing it. But we are here every day, Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. And I hope you're enjoying each and every one of these WrestleMania specials because there are more to come after this. Al, any final thoughts on WrestleMania 6?
It was just everything. It's funny. Just do the sports reference here. The Cubs fans, they had to wait forever. The Red Sox, you don't think it's ever going to happen. The New York Islanders, they haven't even seen a division championship since 1985. You just think, when these moments and these things, like when the Warrior beats Hulk Hogan, and you're a 10-year-old kid, like you get to experience this as a fan. It's just something that you'll never forget. I'm happy I got to do it, and I'm happy. Like I said, it just hooked me more onto the Warrior, and then he had a great feud with Rick Rude, great match at SummerSlam in a steel cage, and then eventually he lost it to Sergeant Slaughter, and I cried.
Yeah.
I was 11 at that time. I grew up, obviously I was a year older, but I cried at the Rumble. That was hard.
Fair enough. WrestleMania 6, it's one of the special ones. So hope everybody's enjoyed it, and we will catch you next time.